Hello my fashion lovers, welcome to this interesting video tutorial we have. On today's tutorial we'll be making this lovely side ruffle gown with a false wrapper. Please, if you have any question, ask in the comment section, like, comment and subscribe. Let's go straight to the video. We're going to start with the down parts. The down part is going to be a pencil skirt, and I've cut the skirt part of it. Is going to be a long skirt with side ruffle, and I have the front and back. You are going to cut with the biggest part of the body, which is the hip, to determine the width of the fabric you're cutting, and that is the waistline, the hip line, the waist, the hip, the knee line, and the length. The length I'll be working with is 42 inches. 42 inches, and the rest will be for the folding. For the folding of the down part. That is the hip line, that is the knee line. Your knee line is always between 18 and 19. And we're going to take the waist measurements. The waist measurements, your waist divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. You can add 2, you can add 1 inch depending on the sewing allowance you are using. And on the hip line, you're going to divide your hip by 4 plus your sewing allowance, and you mark it out on the hip line. And on the knee line, whatever you have on the hip line, you can decide to deduct 2 or 1 on the knee line. And whatever you have on the knee line, you take it down to the down part, because it's a straight skirt, not a pencil skirt. You go ahead and connect. Go ahead and connect the sides. The front and back are going to be the same. In this case, you can choose to put your darts. Or you can go ahead and sew without putting any darts. You take it down to the knee line. Take it down to the length. And now we're going to cut. I'm marking the zip allowance of 1 inch. Zip allowance of 1 inch. Take it down. On the waistline, I marked ½ inch. On the hip line, I marked 1 inch. And you connect it from the waistline to down to the hip and to the length to avoid zip bulge. you go ahead and cut it. After cutting it, this is what you have. This is for the skirt. This is for the skirt. You're going to have two of this. We're going to cut two of this, one for the false wrapper and other for the main skirt. Now you're going to mark where you want your ruffles to start. You're going to mark where you want your ruffles to start and where you want it to end. You're going to curve it right from the waist. We're going to curve it right from the waist to the hemline. On the waist, I'm coming in by 2 inches because I have my sewing allowance. So I'm coming in by 2 inches, and from there, I'll connect down to the length. That is where I'll be cutting out. You go ahead and connect with the curve down to the hemline. You're going to be cutting it off because that is where you're going to attach your ruffles. And you're going to give it a curve. You're going to curve it so that when you're attaching the ruffles, it will come out curved. Like I told you, you'll be cutting two of this. The one is for the men's skirt and one for the false wrapper where you're going to attach the ruffles. And that is what we are doing now. Go ahead and connect. After connecting, you go ahead and cut. And before you cut, you first of all measure what you have. You first of all measure what you have. You first of all measure the curve that you have so that you know where you're going to. So that you know where you're going to. You know the length of curve you're going to cut. Make sure you measure it to know the amount of ruffles you're going to impute. Now you have your main skirt and the one you're going to attach your ruffles on. We are still on the ruffle parts, that is the length. You go ahead and cut out the curved parts, and before you cut it out, measure the length from the waist down to the hemline so that you know the amount of ruffles you're going to cut. You're going to take your tape, measure it, know the length of the ruffle you're going to cut and attach to the parts you're cutting out. And this is what you're going to have. And that is where we're going to attach our ruffles. You have your men's skirt, and you also have this where the ruffles will be attached and your belts will be attached. Now you go ahead and measure. To measure the width of the ruffle we are going to attach. And now to sew the down parts, you're going to cut your lining 2 inches. You're going to cut your lining 2 inches below the main fabric. 2 inches. Your main fabric is going to be 2 inches longer than your lining because you're going to turn it up. And you go ahead and place right side facing right side. Use your 1/2 inch, sew it down. Sew it down with 1/2 inch. And after sewing, you're going to take it up from the place you notched, from the extra folding that you notched at the down parts. You're going to take it up. You're going to take it up. And stitch it down with your sewing allowance. With 1/2 inch sewing allowance, you're going to stitch it. And after sewing, this is what you're going to have. Then you turn it to the right side. Go ahead and turn it to the right side. When you turn it, this is what you're going to have. You see how the down part is? That is what you're going to have. And now you're going to do the same to the back. You're going to do the same to the back side. And for the ruffles, I'll be taking 8 inches, and the length you calculated from the place you cut out. You can decide to add 3 inches to what you calculated to the length. You can decide to add 2 inches for your ruffles. Here I'll be adding 2 inches to the ruffles. I'll be adding 2 inches to whatever I have, to whatever measurement I have here. I'll be adding 2 inches. You can decide to take it down to the other side, but I decided to end my own there, to stop it there. I decide to take it down to the other side, curve it from this part to the other part, but I decided to stop it at one end. Now, when you finish gathering the ruffles, we're going to attach it right side facing right side. Right side facing right side, you're going to attach it. Go ahead and attach it. At this point, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Click on the like button to like my video. You go ahead and sew it down. And after attaching it, this is what you're going to have. After attaching it, this is what you have. Then you're going to use your lining to cover up your stitches. Use your lining and cover up your stitches with the ruffles inside the main fabric. With the ruffles inside the main fabric, you're going to put your lining and cover up all the stitches. Go ahead and cover up the stitches, then flip to the wrong side, and now we're going to cut the upper part of it. The upper part of it is going to be a princess dart. It's going to be a princess dart, and I'll be taking 17 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance, and that is the bust points. That's the bust points, the under bust, and the waist. You go ahead and mark it out. Now you'll be taking the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Shoulder measurement divided by 2. Go ahead and take your 1 inch shoulder slope and take your armhole measurement. Your armhole measurement is always your shoulder divided by 2 plus 1 inch. Go ahead and label it. Bust points, under bust, and the waistline. On the neck, I'll be taking 5 inches for the neck. And the depth, I'll be taking 4 inches for the depth. Go ahead and connect the lines with your curve ruler. If you don't have your curve ruler, you can use your hand to connect. Connect the shoulder. Now we're going to get the bust measurements. The bust measurement divided by 4, you impute it. Now you're going to get the middle of the armhole by measuring the bust. Whatever you have, you divide it by 2. Divide it by 2 and come in by 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch. And on the bust point, I'll be taking the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 7 inches divided by 2. 7 inches divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch sewing allowance. And on the bust point, you go up by 1 inch and come down by 1 inch on the bust points. And you connect from the armhole, you connect. On the under bust line, I'll be taking 1/2 inch. The same on the waistline, I'll be taking 1/2 inch. Then on the other side, I'll be taking 1/2 inch, and I'll be taking 1/2 inch on this line. You go ahead and connect with a straight line from under bust to the waist. Connect to the straight line. And from the under bust to the bust point, you connect with your curve ruler. Make sure you curve it because that is what will bring out the bust here. And on the upper part, we'll be taking 1 inch on both sides, making it 2 inches. You go ahead and connect it back to the 1 inch you came up with on the bust point. And now you're going to extend whatever you deducted from both sides. You're going to extend it to the armhole so that you don't fall short of your sewing allowance. Now we're going to be taking the full body measurement divided by 4. If your bust is 32, 36, you go ahead and divide by 4. Add your sewing allowance. On the under bust, your under bust divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance, putting into consideration the darts you took out. I took out 3 inches, so I'll be placing it so that when I join my fabric, I won't fall short of fabric. Everything will still be complete. And on the waistline, you're going to divide your waist by 4. Divide your waist by 4. Then add your sewing allowance and the place where you took out your darts. You go ahead and add sewing allowance. Go ahead and connect. And also connect the armhole. If you have not liked this video, please go ahead and like my video. And now we are going to cut. As you're cutting the breast point, make sure you curve your hand, because that is what is going to bring out the bust here. Go ahead and cut. That is for the side. Go ahead and notch your bust points so that when you're joining, it will be very easy for you to join. Go ahead and cut the remaining piece. Go ahead and cut to the neckline. Go ahead and cut to the neckline and the shoulder slope. You still put your notches so that when you're joining, it will be very easy for you to join. Now we are done with the cutting. This is for the front parts. And you know, the same way you cut your lining fabric, the same way you cut your main fabric, that is the same way you're going to cut the lining. Now I'm marking out the back fabric. The back is going to be a normal dart. On the neckline, your shoulder divided by 2. Go ahead and take your shoulder slope, armhole length, and the waist measurement. Those are the 2 measurements we are going to be needing here. Go ahead and take the neck width and the neck depth of 5 inches and the neck depth 4 inches. Go ahead and connect. Now take the full body measurements. Your measurement divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. And also we'll take out the darts. The dart, your nipple to nipple measurement determines where your dart placement is going to be. You go ahead and take 1/2 inch on both sides. Take 1/2 inch on both sides and connect. You take your full body measurement divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. And for the waist, you take into consideration the darts you removed on the waistline 1 inch. Make sure you place it back plus sewing allowance. And now we're going to cut. On the waistline, you're going to come in by 1/2 inch to avoid the bulge. Come in by 1/2 inch. Come in by 1/2 inch, and from the shoulder, connect down to the waistline where you marked the 1/2 inch. If you have not subscribed at this moment, please subscribe. Encourage us. Subscribe. We need your likes, your comments. Go ahead and cut it. Go ahead and cut out the neck and the shoulder. Open up the zipper allowance. Go ahead and open up the zipper allowance. And that is the back. Going to notch the zipper allowance. And to attach the upper parts, and the down parts, you go ahead and attach the upper part and the down part before attaching the ruffles, before attaching the false wrapper with the ruffles. You go ahead and turn out the main fabric and place the wrapper on it. Place the wrapper on it, on the main fabric. You're going to stitch it down. Go ahead and stitch it down. Right side facing right side. Go ahead and stitch it down. At this point, please subscribe, click on the like button and like my video, please. And now you're going to place the wrapper, this ruffles, on the main fabric. You go ahead and stitch it down. Stitch it down. When you're done, you cut out your belt. Attach on both sides of the ruffle on the waistline. We're going to cut two belts. You see where I'm placing it? One is going to be by the side, and one is going to be on the wrap for the ruffles. That is where you're going to attach it. I'll finish joining the upper part and the down part. Now you're going to close it up. Right side facing right side. Going to close the shoulder. Right side facing right side. We do the same to the other parts. Go ahead and stitch it down. And now that we are done, this is what you're going to have. This is what you're going to have. You have your wrapper. You have your skirt. If you're still watching till this moment, please subscribe, like, and share my videos. After attaching the skirt with the ruffles, you go ahead and shape it while your ruffle is inside. Go ahead and shape it using your sewing allowance. Using the sewing allowance, you're going to shape it on both sides. Take it to your machine and sew. You go ahead and sew it down. And when you are done, this is what the final outlook. This is the final outlook for the side ruffles. If you have any question, please ask in the comment section. Like and subscribe. See you next time.